All right, I'm the Flat Rate Master, and today we're talking about tips to prevent your cars from coming back on a tow truck. All right, tip number one, put your phone away. Stop looking at Facebook, stop looking at Instagram, stop talking to your girlfriend, stop talking to your buddies, stop texting your buddies, all that stuff. Put your phone away. You're here to work. So I know it's, the millennial generation has a short attention span and needs distractions, but we're talking about cars that could potentially kill people, so put your phone away. All right, now that I've done preaching, let's talk about some tips and how I do things to prevent cars coming back. All right, first one, drain plugs and oil filters. One, I have a strict policy on drain plugs. One, on my cars, the drain plug is either tight, i.e. torqued down, or it is out. I never partially put in a drain plug, period. End of story. It is either out or it's torqued. The reason for that is it's very easy to forget to torque a drain plug, especially if you go in and finger tighten it. Guess what? It may not leak while it's sitting in your bay. Customer drives off and all of a sudden it's coming back on a tow truck because that drain plug fell out and the engine locked up. So now some other techs here have a different method. They have whatever tool they use to take the drain plug out goes in their magnetic tray on their drain pan. And if they do not put that tool away when doing an oil change, meaning they torque it and put it back in their cart. If they see that wrench on their drain pan, they know they didn't torque it. Different strokes for different people, but you need to figure out a method that works for you every time. You need to do it every time. That's one of the biggest things. Repetition. Do it the same way every time. Next one, similar process. Lug nuts. If I do a rotate or brakes or whatever, take the wheels off. I do not torque the wheels until I torque all of them. I start in the passenger side front and go all four wheels. The reason I do that is I want to make sure that all four wheels are properly torqued. The reason I do that is it's easy when you're sitting there going and, I forgot this, walk off and the left rear wheel was left loose. Now, some guys, when they finish a brake job, they'll torque the wheel to spec at that point, which is fine. Again, figure out a method that's going to work for you. Next one, fasteners. When you're putting a car back together, same kind of technique. Either a bolt's obviously not tightened, i.e. sticking out, or it is torqued. If you run one all the way down but don't torque it, you're going to wind up having one come back with a leak, with something falling off. So always make sure and tighten every bolt completely before you move on to the next step. Now here's one tip that I don't do, but Scanner Danner talked about it when he was turning wrenches. He would literally sit there and touch everything he had messed with as a way of reminding himself that he had torqued that fasteners down. Again, figure out what works best for you, but do it every time. Next one, double check your hose clamps. If you're using a worm gear style hose clamp, a lot of comebacks are caused by those clamps. Either reuse the spring clamps that came on the car or make sure you put them to the right tension. You put them too loose, they're going to wind up coming back once that system gets pressurized, leaking. Put them too tight, you're going to cut into the hose. It's just one of those feel things. So, figure it out quickly how tight you need to get them. Always, always, always verify your repair. Go test drive it. Make sure, 2 minutes into the test drive, you don't start having a weird noise. Don't just crank the car up, back it out, and park it in the parking spot. You've got to go test drive it. If you don't test drive it, chances are you're going to have cars coming back on a tow truck. Or, worse yet, customer leaves, comes right back with a problem. All right, last one. If in doubt, recheck. If your little hairs on the back of your neck start tingling, wondering if you tighten that, take the time, pull it back in, recheck it. Famous story I tell, literally 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up going, did I tighten those subframe bolts? Oh, they were supposed to pick it up last night. I was, my mind was fixated on I didn't torque those subframe bolts on a car I worked on. So next morning I came in, it's still sitting in the parking lot. I grabbed the keys, drove it back in the shop, put it up in the air, and verified those subframe bolts were tight. I was like, whoo, man, they were tight. But when in doubt, recheck. So, what are your tips to prevent cars from coming back on a tow truck? Let everybody know in the comments. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you really liked it, subscribe. Make sure and hit that bell notification so you get notified when I put out a new video. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. And as always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.